I've seen these comedians that they'll tell a joke and people are like, don't you dare! Rah! And then the president of the United States literally said, maybe I'll go for a third term, maybe. Maybe I will, maybe I'll stay. And people were like, what? And then when they asked his people, they're like, yo, he said he's gonna stay for a third term. They're like, no, he's joking. I was like, oh, so he can, president jokes. Yeah, comedian, no. How dare you, President Dave Chappelle? So I don't know, Will. Yeah. I don't judge anyone, because I think everyone will make the decision that they make. But I would hope that we just learn to focus not on the thing that everyone's showing us, but the thing that's actually happening. Like the comedians are not going to make or break Saudi and what's happening, but the thing that's making or breaking what comedians can or cannot say in America, that's a real thing that's happening. Yeah. So for me, there's definitely a story in like, all these comedians went to Saudi. And then there should be an even bigger story about, whoa, all these comedians are now going to go to America. Oh, good luck to them. You guys have been fun, man. Thanks for coming out tonight. Have a great night. Thanks for coming out. One of the first things you lose, funny enough, in an authoritarian regime is comedy. It's a crazy trend that you can follow throughout time. Go to Russia, South Africa, right? When I was growing up, until I was 6 years old, maybe even like closer to 10, free speech wasn't a thing. You couldn't just say whatever you wanted. There was no stand-up comedy in South Africa. It was because you'd go to jail, right? The few white comedians who dared to say something about the government went to jail. Black comedians, you couldn't even do that. There was a rule in the country. 3 or more people were gathered. They considered that a political event, and then you were just arrested. You couldn't even start your show. You guys having it? Ah, shit, I gotta go. But it's actually interesting how that's the first thing that goes in a country, is the comedy. Vladimir Putin, one of the first things he did when he came to power was he shut down a puppet show that was very popular in Russia and Eastern Europe that used to poke fun at world leaders. And one of the first things he did was he had that show and the whole station shut down. Because comedy has this weird thing about it, man. I don't know. And I don't like to inflate it because it's supposed to be goofy. It's supposed to be stupid, right? But that stupidity butts up against the terror that you're often feeling with an authoritarian. You know what I mean? It's like Charlie Chaplin. The troops in the war said that Charlie Chaplin and his movie The Dictator, where he played Hitler as like this goofy dude, they said that was the first time they thought of Hitler as an idiot. Because before then, everyone was just like, Hitler's going to take over the world. You couldn't do anything to Hitler. And then they saw that movie and they were like, oh, this guy's goofy. That mustache is kind of weird. And that literally gave people hope. They were like, oh, if we can laugh at that thing, then maybe we can beat it. So they're moving in the right direction. You're having all the comedians. People are like, but you can't say this about the royal family. Yeah, okay, fine. But you're still moving in the right direction. They used to have comedy shows where men and women were separated, and now the audiences are mixed from what they were, right? Yeah, audiences are mixed from what I understand. So again, not perfect, but moving in the right direction. Meanwhile, here, comedians are shitting themselves. Don't say anything about Charlie Kirk. I wasn't going to say anything about, but don't say anything about Charlie. I wasn't going to say anything about Charlie Kirk, but don't. There's nothing funny about it. Oh, now you tested me. I mean, there's nothing funny about it? You can't say there's nothing funny about it. No, there's nothing fun. No, don't say that, because as a comedian, I'll be like, I'm sure there's something funny about it. The guy was shot while defending guns. Do you understand how? I'm not even writing that as a joke. As a human, you have to admit that is an incongruous, funny thing that happens. You are there, you're like on stage and you're like, let me tell you why people should have guns. Wapa! That would be like if the captain of the Titanic was giving an impassioned speech about icebergs right before it happened. He was just there and he's like, I'll tell you why icebergs are not as bad as people say. Whoa! Whole thing is ridiculous. I don't think there's anything funny about, but don't now fight me. Don't say anything, there's nothing. That's literally what comedians do. That's the whole point of it. There's nothing funny about most things in our lives. Nothing funny about death, nothing funny about life, nothing funny about struggling. No, that's the whole point of it. is to find a moment of solace. There's nothing fun. Don't you dare make a joke. I wasn't going to make a joke about Charlie Kirk. It wasn't even like in my zeitgeist in that way. But don't, Trevor, there's nothing funny. Oh, but there is. You keep saying that, and you're going to make me find the funny. I don't want to find the funny, but you're forcing it now. You're forcing it now. It is pretty crazy that, like, America's response to the guy getting shot was to limit speech instead of limiting the thing that ended his life. You know what I mean? It's pretty crazy to me. That's one of the wildest responses I've ever seen in my life. What happened to Charlie Kirk? He got shot. All right, tell people to shut up. We gotta get some word control out in these streets. What about guns? Oh, guns had nothing to do with this. Up away. Maybe. No, this was just like, can you say something? Can you not say something? Let me tell you something. Jokes will never kill you. Never. There's no joke that can kill you. Every comedian is trying. Every comedian. Our dream is to make a joke that will kill one of you. That is our dream. They go like, what happened? Oh, man, someone was at Trevor's show and then he laughed so hard and then he died. I'm like, thank you very much. Good night. That's our dream. And I'm not saying there's no speech that's inflammatory or dangerous or insightful. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is if I was to make a bet on how to make a society safer, if I'm going to make it safer, right, and I get to choose between words and guns, I choose guns. That's my bet. I'm not an expert on any of this, by the way. I've just found that most of the time when someone's been shot, there's been a gun. A lot of time people have said words and they've just like walked away. So if I'm betting my money, I'm gonna go with guns. It is also weird that the guy, like, he wrote jokes on the bullets. That's, again, a terrible and funny when you have time to think about it. Because the fact that he had to write jokes on the bullets tells you that he knew that the jokes won't do anything. He was like, I'm gonna tell you, if you're reading this, you're gay. And it's like, nah, that doesn't do anything. What if you put it on a bullet? Oh yeah, that joke can kill now. Yeah, now that joke's a lot more effective. Oh no, I won't judge anyone. But I do think it's a better place to be in, right? People make it like, well, like it's the worst. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's not the best. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe these are like sleeper agents. That's how you think of it, you know? Yeah, if there's people who can change how you see the world, it is like the Aziz Ansari's, the Kevin Hart's, can make you change anything up. Can you imagine Aziz like convincing them in Saudi Arabia? It's like, man, how come you guys don't? Like, I know how you guys don't let your women drive. And I'm like, dude, what the hell, man? Just let them drive, come on. I can see them changing their laws. Just be like, you know what? There's something about this guy. I like him. I like him. Oh, man. Like Kevin Hart on stage, busy like fighting about Saudi policies. He's like, man, man, let me tell you what I noticed. Let me tell you what I noticed about this shit y'all doing inside. All the organizations y'all funding. All those organizations that you're funding, don't fund them. Stop funding them. Why you being an organized power? Stop funding them, people. The wrong things. And I'm not saying again, it's not a binary. I'm not saying don't focus on some things. You know, it's good to hold people accountable. I think it's nice for people to tell the comedians they're like, hey, I didn't like that thing you did, and then go back and forth and see. What I do think is interesting, though, to go back to the comedian thing, is that it's interesting how, like, especially in America now, it's like comedians don't have the latitude that, like, leaders have, right? I've seen these comedians that they'll tell a joke and people are like, don't you dare, rah! And then the president of the United States literally said, maybe I'll go for a third term, maybe. Maybe I will, maybe I'll stay. And people were like, what? And then when they asked his people, they're like, yo, he said he's gonna stay for a third term. They're like, no, he's joking. I was like, oh, so he can, president jokes, yeah, comedian, no! How dare you, President Dave Chappelle? So I don't know, Will. Yeah. I don't judge anyone, because I think everyone will make the decision that they make. But I would hope that we just learn to focus not on the thing that everyone's showing us, but the thing that's actually happening. Like the comedians are not going to make or break Saudi and what's happening. But the thing that's making or breaking what comedians can or cannot say in America, that's a real thing that's happening. Yeah. So for me, there's definitely a story in like, all these comedians went to Saudi. And then there should be an even bigger story about, whoa, all these comedians are now going to go to America. Whoa. Good luck to them. You guys have been fun, man. Thanks for coming out tonight. Have a great night. Thanks for coming out.